In a world where most people dream of greatness, only a few wake up every day determined to create it. And one of those few is Andrew Jack. Born Chinedu Andrew Obikia, this Nigerian powerhouse didn't just appear out of nowhere. He built himself through years of discipline, struggle, and unshakable belief. He turned pain into power, doubt into drive, and hard work into victory. When Andrew first appeared in the world of bodybuilding, people couldn't believe what they were seeing. A tall, wide, incredibly aesthetic physique, like a living statue carved from iron and willpower. He wasn't just massive, he was perfectly balanced. Broad shoulders, narrow waist, round muscle bellies. Every part of him screamed dedication. But what truly separates Andrew Jack from the rest isn't just his muscles. It's his mindset. He doesn't chase attention. He doesn't seek shortcuts. He focuses on one thing, becoming better every single day. Every morning, he wakes up with a purpose. Every training session is war. Every rep, every set, every drop of sweat carries meaning. Because Andrew knows that success doesn't come from luck, it comes from consistency. Coming from Nigeria, his journey wasn't easy. He faced limits, he faced doubt, he faced times when the world didn't believe in him. But instead of giving up, he used that doubt as fuel. He trained harder, pushed further, and rose higher than anyone expected. When he finally entered the global bodybuilding scene, he didn't just compete, he shocked the world. People said they had never seen anything like him before. A mix of size, shape, and presence that was almost unreal. From local gyms to international arenas, he carried one thing with him everywhere: humility. Because for Andrew, it was never about fame or attention. It was about proving what's possible when you never give up. He showed the world that it doesn't matter where you start. What matters is how much you're willing to grind for your dream. Andrew once said, "You don't need to talk. Let your physique do the talking." And that's exactly what he does, through effort, not words. So when you feel tired, when you feel like quitting, when the world seems against you, remember his name. Remember Andrew Jack. Remember the man who built himself from the ground up. The man who turned obstacles into opportunities. The man who proved that discipline beats talent when talent stops working hard. Because in the end, it's not about who's watching you. It's about who you become when no one's watching. That's what makes a real champion. That's what makes Andrew jacked.
In a world where strength is spoken in silence, where muscle is carved like stone, and where legends rise from pure willpower, one name stands louder than the rest: Nick Walker. A man built not just by iron, but by obsession. A man whose physique looks less human and more like a creature engineered to dominate. From the very beginning, Nick wasn't blessed with easy gifts. He wasn't handed success. He built it, day after day, rep after rep. While the world doubted him, questioned him, and labeled him too much. But Nick Walker turned those words into fuel. And that fuel ignited a transformation that shook the entire bodybuilding world. Nick is not just big, he is colossal. Arms that look like loaded cannons. Shoulders wide enough to cast a shadow over doubt itself. Legs shaped like pillars holding up the weight of his destiny. And that famous midsection. Tight, armored, and carved like steel plates forged in fire. Everything about him screams power, intensity, and relentless hunger. But what makes Nick Walker truly monstrous isn't the size. It's the mindset. A mindset that refuses softness, refuses excuses, refuses to stop. Nick trains like every set is a war. Every rep is a battle. Every session is a chance to break the version of himself from yesterday. His workouts aren't routines, they're rituals. Rituals fueled by discipline so extreme, most people wouldn't even survive a week of his lifestyle. He enters the gym like a beast unleashed, eyes locked, nerves firing, muscles swelling with purpose. And once he grabs the iron, there is no calm, only destruction. The weights don't just move, they bend under the wrath of his power. And in those moments, you don't see a regular man. You see the mutant, a force of nature built from pure obsession. But behind that monstrous power is a story of resilience. Nick Walker faced injuries that could have broken any normal athlete. Moments when his journey seemed shattered, when his body screamed to stop. That's what makes him different. That's what makes him feared. That's what builds a legend. Nick Walker isn't chasing perfection. He's chasing evolution, the constant rise of a stronger, harder, more monstrous version of himself. And every year, he shows the world that he's not just improving, he's transforming. People look at Nick's physique and wonder how a human can hold that much size and still stay so detailed, so freakishly dense. His veins look like power lines. His muscles look like armor stacked on armor. His back spreads like the wings of a creature forged in shadow and fire. And when he flexes, the room changes. The atmosphere shifts. The world stops for a second to witness raw, unfiltered dominance. Nick Walker is a reminder that greatness isn't born. It's built. Built through sweat. Built through sacrifice. Built through the courage to go further than anyone else is willing to go. And his message to the world is simple. If you want to stand out, you must be willing to become something others fear. This is Nick Walker, a monster of discipline, a warrior of iron, a symbol of unbreakable will. And his journey is far from over. they evolve. The Persian wolf, a physique carved from pure determination, a mindset tougher than iron, and a drive that refuses to be contained. Today, we dive into the monster journey of a champion who tore through limits, shattered expectations, and forced the entire bodybuilding world to recognize his power. Imagine a man rising from the rugged mountains of Iran, where training wasn't glamorous, where equipment wasn't perfect, and where opportunities were rare. But Hadi Choopan didn't need perfect conditions. He created perfection through pain. He transformed every struggle into strength. While others complained about difficulty, Hadi fed on it. Every rep, every set, every drop of sweat turned him into something the world had never seen coming. Hadi wasn't just building muscle, he was building destiny. His physique, a walking explosion of mass and definition. Chest like concrete slabs, shoulders that look engineered in a lab. Arms stacked with veins that twist like power cables, and a back so wide, so razor detailed, that it looks like it belongs to a creature not from this world. That's why they call him the Persian wolf. Not because it sounds cool, but because he moves, fights, and trains like one. When Hadi first stepped on the global stage, the bodybuilding world didn't know what to expect. But the moment he hit that first pose,
آروم آروم بیار آروم آروم Good job.
the atmosphere shifted. Judges leaned forward. Competitors felt the pressure. Fans went silent. Because standing under those lights was not just a bodybuilder. It was a monster ready to redefine the game. His muscles didn't just pop, they attacked the stage. His conditioning wasn't just sharp, it was surgical. Every detail on his body looked hand-carved. Every muscle fiber screamed hard work, sacrifice, and pure, unstoppable willpower. Hadi doesn't train like a regular athlete. He trains like a man preparing for war. His workouts, brutal, unforgiving, relentless, while most people would collapse. And then came the moment the world will never forget, when Hadi Choopan rose to claim the ultimate title, Mr. Olympia, a dream he chased for years, a dream he earned through sacrifice only he truly understands. When he held that trophy, it wasn't just a win, it was a message to every underdog, every fighter, every person who has ever been doubted. With enough hunger, enough fire, and enough heart, you can conquer anything. Hadi became the symbol of unstoppable force, a monster forged from determination, a warrior who went from shadows to spotlight and dominated. But what makes his story even more powerful is that he never forgets where he came from. He carries his culture, his struggles, and his people with him every time he steps on a stage. He represents resilience. He represents pride. He represents the fire of a man who refuses to break. Today, Hadi Choopan stands as one of the most dangerous physiques in the world. A monster who keeps evolving, keeps improving, keeps fighting. And the bodybuilding world knows one thing. When the Persian wolf is on the hunt, no one is safe. This isn't just a story of muscle. This is the story of a man who transformed himself into a legend. This is Hadi Choopan, a monster, a champion, a force the world will never forget.
Rubio Mascara, a name that hits like thunder in the bodybuilding world. A man whose physique looks less like a human body and more like a force of nature. When he walks into a room, everything changes. Because this is not an average athlete, this is a walking mountain. A powerhouse built with bricks of muscle, wrapped in veins, density, and freakish proportions that make people stare in disbelief. Rubio isn't just big, he is monstrous. His traps rise like two slabs of granite touching his ears. His neck is so thick and powerful that fans worldwide started calling him Nexilla. His shoulders look like boulders packed on top of even bigger boulders. And his arms? They don't just hang, they bulge, like living cables ready to explode with strength. From the front, Rubiel's chest spreads wide like an armored shield, full and heavy, with a look that instantly tells you, this man was built for power. From the back, he turns into something even more unbelievable. His upper body expands outward like wings, creating a silhouette that looks almost unreal. His traps, lats, and rhomboids form a monstrous wall of muscle that seems engineered rather than grown. But what truly separates Rubiel Mosquera is not just size, it's the combination of size, shape, symmetry, and raw aggression through every muscle fiber. Most people build their bodies. Rubiel forged his. Listen closely, because his story is one of relentless dedication. Week after week, hour after hour, he pushes through brutal workouts, lifting weight that would crush a normal person. Heavy rows, punishing presses, explosive squats, his training is soaked in grit and intensity. Every rep looks like he's battling gravity itself, but he refuses to stop until the job is done. Rubiel's legs add another layer to his monster identity. Thick quads, deep-cut hamstrings, and calves that look sculpted from stone. His entire frame is balanced, full, and powerful from top to bottom. There is no weak angle on him, no soft point, nothing that breaks the illusion of a real-life juggernaut. And then there's his presence. When Rubiel stands still, he looks like a statue brought to life. When he moves, he carries a certain heaviness, a force that makes even giants look small next to him. Every fan who sees him up close says the same thing: pictures do not prepare you for the reality. The man is a monster in human form. But behind this beast-like appearance is a focused, disciplined athlete with a mindset geared toward greatness. His eyes reflect hunger, the kind of hunger only true champions have. He doesn't chase attention, he chases progress. Every day is another chance to grow, to evolve, to become even more unstoppable. Rubiel Mascara represents the new age of freaky mass, extreme proportions, and superhuman structure. The bodybuilding world has never seen someone shaped quite like this, a blend of power, thickness, and intensity wrapped into one unstoppable figure. This is Rubiel Mascara, and his monster era is only just beginning.
Samson didn't rise from comfort. He didn't grow up with a silver spoon. He grew up with challenges, doubts, and people telling him what he couldn't do. But Samson is not the kind of man who listens to limitations. He breaks them. Every champion has a moment where they decide, "This is who I am. This is who I will become." For Samson, that moment happened long before the world knew his name. It happened in the quiet corners of every gym he trained in, when no one was watching, when the weights felt heavier than usual, when life outside the gym was throwing problems he didn't ask for. But instead of quitting, Samson chose to rise. His physique didn't come from genetics alone. It came from suffering, controlled, repeated, and embraced. It came from waking up with sore muscles and still pushing through another brutal session. It came from eating meals not for taste, but for purpose. It came from sacrificing comfort for a dream very few ever dare to chase. Samson Dauda is built different because he lives different. And the truth is, his journey is not just about bodybuilding. It's about fighting the inner war that every person faces. The war between who you are and who you know you could be. Samson stepped into that war every day. He didn't always win, but he always showed up.
Come on, you got it. That's it. That's better. That's better. That's better.
And that is what makes a champion. When the world finally started noticing him, when fans began calling him the Nigerian Lion, it wasn't by accident. It was because of years of discipline hidden behind closed doors. Years of mistakes, failures, setbacks that only made him hungrier. Samson's story reminds us that greatness is not something you stumble into. Greatness is built, rep after rep, day after day, even when your mind tells you to stop. It's built in the moments when no one believes in you, except you. Look at Samson now, a massive, powerful, unstoppable force. A man who walks on stage with the confidence of someone who has battled himself and won. A man whose presence alone inspires thousands to push harder, eat cleaner, train smarter, and dream bigger. But here's the real message. Samson Dauda is not special because he's a bodybuilder. He's special because he chose to become the strongest version of himself. And that is something anyone can do. So the next time you feel tired, the next time life feels heavy, the next time you think about giving up, remember his journey. Remember the man who turned discipline into destiny. Remember the Nigerian Lion, Samson Dauda, because if he can rewrite his story through effort, pain, and unstoppable belief, so can you. This is your reminder. Greatness is not a gift. Greatness is earned. Now go earn yours.
He's not just a bodybuilder. He's a living machine built through pain, power, and pure obsession. This is the story of Good Vito, the man who turned himself into a monster that the world can't stop watching. When you first see Good Vito, you might think he was born this way. Massive shoulders, a chest like armor, and arms that look forged from steel. But the truth? He was built, not born. Good Vito's journey started like many others. Just a kid with a dream and a pair of dumbbells. But what separated him from the rest was his fire. While others trained for fun, Good Vito trained for war. Every rep, every set, every single drop of sweat, it was all part of a mission to become the most complete physique in modern bodybuilding. He didn't want to look normal. He wanted to look superhuman. Day after day, he hit the gym like a man possessed. No excuses, no breaks. While others slept, he was sculpting his future one lift at a time. And when pain hit, he smiled. Because to him, pain was progress. Good Vito's transformation didn't happen overnight. It took years of grinding in silence, eating clean when everyone else cheated, and pushing through days when his body begged to quit. But quitting was never an option. He knew greatness doesn't come from comfort, it comes from sacrifice. Look at him now. Every muscle on his body tells a story of suffering.
И 200 граммов, видите, такого оранжевого цвета. Прекрасная у нас
Every vein shows the price he paid. He's not just lifting weights. He's lifting his own limits every single day. People see his physique and call him a freak. But what they don't see are the nights he couldn't sleep because his body hurt from head to toe. They don't see the hours of meal prep, the cold mornings, the endless cardio sessions. That's what separates good Vito from the rest. Discipline, the kind that turns an ordinary man into a legend. In the world of bodybuilding, it's easy to talk about genetics, supplements, and fame. But good Vito stands for something different. He stands for grind, for focus, for unstoppable hunger. He doesn't chase trophies, he chases perfection. And here's the real secret. He knows perfection doesn't exist, but that's what keeps him going. Because when you chase something impossible, you become something unbelievable. So next time you feel like quitting, remember good Vito. Remember that behind every great body is a story of struggle. Behind every flex is a fight. And behind every rep is a reason. This isn't just bodybuilding. This is war with your own weakness. Good Vito's message is simple. You don't need to be the strongest, the biggest, or the most gifted. You just need to be hungry enough to outwork everyone else. Because one day, when the lights hit the stage, when the crowd roars your name, and when you look in the mirror, you'll realize that all the pain was worth it. That you didn't just build a body, you built a legacy.
Be like Stan Lee with all of Marvel and also DC comic guys training in the same gym, and we train for hours.
2, 3, 4. That's it. Hold it. Other side now. 4. 1, 2, 3.
Listen carefully, because what you are about to witness is not just a bodybuilding journey. This is the rise of a genetic super creature, a man forged from raw power, engineered muscle density, and a mindset colder than steel. This is Phil Heath, the 3D monster the world never saw coming. From the moment Phil entered the world of iron, people knew something was different. Not normal different, dangerously different. His arms didn't just grow, they expanded like inflated armor. His chest didn't just get thicker, it looked carved by some higher power, with roundness and detail that made even veterans stare in disbelief. This wasn't bodybuilding anymore. This was precision-engineered dominance. Phil Heath wasn't chasing size, he was manufacturing it. muscle fiber by muscle fiber. Symmetry so perfect it felt unnatural. Density so wild it looked digitally edited in real life. While others trained to build their bodies, Phil trained to transform into a living mass monster. Every workout was an attack. Every rep was a warning. Every pump looked like his skin was fighting to contain the muscle beneath it. People joked that Phil didn't have delts. He had planets sitting on his shoulders. His biceps didn't peak, they erupted. His back wasn't wide. It was a moving fortress, a wall of muscle that swallowed the light around him. But the most terrifying weapon Phil had was not his size. It was his mindset. He walked into the gym like a predator entering its territory. Quiet, focused, unshakable. When Phil trained, everything else disappeared. The weights didn't control him. He controlled the weights. He didn't move the iron moved for him. And as the years passed, the transformation became undeniable. Phil Heath evolved into something beyond human. His muscles became so three-dimensional that fans called him the gift, not as a compliment, but as an admission. They couldn't explain it. They couldn't imitate it. They could only watch as this monster continued to grow. His rivals trained hard. Phil trained harder. They attacked their weak points. Phil eliminated his. They wanted to be champions. Phil wanted to be untouchable. And he achieved it. Phil Heath dominated bodybuilding with brutal consistency, pushing his physique into territories no one thought possible. His condition, his fullness, his roundness, it all looked engineered by some futuristic creator. Every year he appeared, he looked like a new version of the same beast, updated, improved, and ready to destroy expectations again. Even when the world doubted him, even when critics tried to break him, Phil responded the only way a monster can, by growing even bigger. His story is not just about muscle. It's about evolution, transformation, the terrifying beauty of what happens when a man refuses to accept limits and instead rebuilds himself into a mass machine of pure power. Phil Heath is not just a bodybuilder. He is a symbol of dominance, a blueprint of perfection, a walking reminder that monsters are real. And sometimes, they're built rep by rep.
He came from nothing, from the dusty streets of Egypt, to the grandest stage in the world of bodybuilding. This is the story of Big Ramy, a man who turned struggle into strength and dreams into reality. When Mamdouh LSBA, better known as Big Ramy, first stepped into a gym, he wasn't chasing fame. He was chasing purpose. He was a fisherman, working endless hours just to survive. But deep inside, there was a fire that refused to die. He looked at his reflection and decided, this is not where my story ends. Every rep, every set, every drop of sweat was a promise to himself. A promise that one day, the world would know his name. He trained when no one watched. He lifted when his body screamed to stop. He stayed hungry, not for food, but for greatness. The gym became his battlefield. The weights, his weapons, and every failure only made him stronger. People said, "You can't make it from Egypt." They said, "You'll never stand with the best." But Big Ramy didn't listen. He knew that silence and hard work are louder than any doubt. In 2013, he shocked the world by stepping onto the Mr. Olympia stage for the first time. He wasn't just big, he was a storm. Muscles carved like stone, presence like a king. He didn't win that day, but something changed forever.
There we go.
Fight.
Woo!
Fight. Fight.
The bodybuilding world had just met the future. Year after year, he came back. Bigger, better, hungrier. He faced defeats, injuries, and endless criticism, but he never gave up. Because legends aren't made from victories, they're forged through pain. And then, in 2020, after years of sacrifice, isolation, and self-belief, Big Ramy stood tall as Mr. Olympia. Not once, but 2 times. The fisherman became the champion of the world. He proved that no dream is too far, no journey is too long, and no one can stop you if you refuse to stop yourself. Big Ramy showed us what true dedication looks like. He taught us that muscles alone don't win titles. Heart does. He showed that greatness isn't born, it's built. Brick by brick, rep by rep, day after day. If you ever feel like giving up, if life hits you harder than you can handle, remember his story. Remember that a man from the small village of Baltim, Egypt, rose to rule the bodybuilding world. Not because he was lucky, but because he never quit. So the next time you step into the gym, the next time your body says no, let your mind scream yes. Push harder, lift stronger, believe deeper, because inside you, there's a big Ramy waiting to rise. And when you finally meet that version of yourself, you'll realize that nothing, absolutely nothing, is impossible. This is not just bodybuilding. This is life. And Big Ramy is living proof that dreams do come true when you have the courage to chase them.
Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Let's go. Easy. Easy. Easy, bro. Easy. Yes.
20-inch forms? Jesus. Yeah?
Yes, it is.
20-inch. It's around the meat here. And
Roly Winkler, the beast the bodybuilding world feared. In the underground world of freak-level muscle, one name struck fear like a thunderclap: Roly Winkler. A man built with such impossible size and raw power that even elite bodybuilders whispered his name with caution. This is the story of a walking explosion of muscle, a force of nature who looked like he was carved out of steel and fire. Rolly wasn't just big. He was dangerously big, arms swelling past human limits, shoulders round like cannonballs, traps rising like armor plates ready for war. Every time he walked into the gym, the atmosphere changed. Weights felt lighter, people felt smaller, and every rep he pushed looked like it challenged the laws of biology. But behind this monstrous frame was a journey soaked in sweat, discipline, and absolute fearlessness. Rolly came from Curacao with a dream that looked impossible, but impossible was exactly where he thrived. Setbacks tried to break him. Injuries tried to slow him. But nothing could stop a man who trained like he had something to prove to the entire world. His transformation was nothing short of terrifying. Rolly built one of the most dangerous physiques in bodybuilding history. A combination of freaky mass, razor-sharp conditioning, and roundness that didn't look real. His arms became legendary. Fans called him the Beast, the Dutch Oak, the Monster of Muscle, and every nickname fit perfectly. But Rolly's power wasn't just physical. It was psychological. When he entered competitions, everything changed. Athletes on both sides of him felt the pressure. The crowd roared, cameras flashed, and all eyes locked onto the human tank standing before them. Rolly didn't just compete, he dominated the atmosphere. What made him truly dangerous was his mindset. Quiet, focused, determined. He trained as if pain didn't exist. He lifted as if failure wasn't an option. And he carried himself like a warrior who knew exactly what he was capable of. Today, Rolly Winkler stands as one of the greatest mass monsters the sport has ever seen. A symbol of extreme dedication. A reminder that true power comes from refusing to quit, no matter how steep the climb becomes. Rolly wasn't just a bodybuilder. He was a warning. This is what happens when a man decides to become unstoppable.